All right. Rajat Sethi, look, you know, a lot of people dislike the Modi documentary. A lot of others will say that, you know, there's nothing really new in it. But you can say what you want about that documentary series. But the moment we in our country, by which I mean the BJP and senior leaders, spokespersons of the party, leaders of the party, start saying that there is an international conspiracy against India, right? You know, you're typecasting the BBC and their work in a particular way. Then a few weeks after this documentary was banned, to have these surveys being conducted, aren't we? Isn't this bizarre? Is this the India that we want to portray?
Well, Vishnuji, the India that we want to portray should ideally be tax compliant, having organizations which don't.
No, but do you accept that? I mean, okay, fine. There may be tax issues, but the timing, Rajat. I mean, what are the optics here?
There are. Let me answer that question. The gist of your question. See, you know, attributing larger than life moral pedestal to BBC is something that I have deep issues with. A very senior journalist here who's worked with the BBC was saying that there are no connections with BBC and China. Well, there have been Spectator reports wherein a detailed column has been listed where, you know, in spite of Hawaii being banned by both UK and by the US, BBC for its world affairs, for its outside UK affairs, they were seeking funding from, and they continue to seek funding from Hawaii. That's a 2022 article, not a very old one. So one has to look into details of this to get to the bottom of the story. You can't just wish away that, okay, there is no China connect and live in a la la land dreaming that international politics is
Rajat,
so naive.
Who broke the story of human rights violations against the Uyghur community in China?
Well, of course, I mean, if you look at the portrayal that BBC has been doing, I mean, there have been a lot of issues that were created when BBC interviewed the Chinese ambassador to the UK. You would have seen that the kind of soft glove handling of that interview itself throws a lot of light. And there are political commentators who understand and cherry pick and can clearly draw.
But Rajat, I think you're missing the point of what my interjection, which is that they were very hard hitting in taking on China on human rights. You can just do a basic search and see their reports against
I mean, but there have been
human rights violations. Is it enough to say that Huawei is funding them and they've gone soft, right, on China and human rights? They haven't.
Well, Vishnuji, if you want to get into a verbal spread, I can't answer your questions here. Allow me at least a minute, okay? As I said, BBC London is structured very differently from the BBC World, all right? How has the BBC World taken money from Hawaii, whereas the BBC London office not? These are structural issues. One has to get to the bottom of it. Now, there have been tax searches. Even the BBC's official commentary, the official statement that has come out is that they are cooperating with the Indian government. They haven't lamented on the fact that this is freedom of expression has been killed and all of that. These are the inferences which are being drawn out by the guilds. Yes. And by some of the media which are outside were not party to this. How do you know prima facie that there are no issues, no tax, no underlying issues related to tax evasion, wherein the government is trying to address?
All right.
So at least allow the story to pan out. Look at the assessment officer is the only person in the income tax who has the right sort of information, and not these media houses who are sitting outside India's geography.
So most media houses are sitting over here inside and criticizing.